effect on teacher-educator in East Asia and Africa. The research found by Kakenhi. So we are all Japanese researchers, but our counterpart are researchers who have completed their graduate study at Hiroshima University. And now they are university teachers, as well as current graduate school who are helping us. We will be present a panel session on comparative study of condition of teacher educator at the upcoming International Comparative Education Conference in Cambodia. Title is an exploratory comparative study on professional identity of teacher educator in Southeast Asian countries. Simply put, the study is to identify the characteristic, the condition for becoming a university teacher in Thailand and Cambodia and Vietnam by comparing equipment material. I am in charge of the research in Vietnam, but I can't read Vietnam language. So I'm being assisted by Miss Naga. Naga, she is studying at Hiroshima University from Vietnam. She's very talented and has been helping me with collection of material from Vietnam and translating from Vietnam into English. Significance of this series of study is antithese to the conventional logic of comparative pedagogy that Europe is advanced and other Asian countries is backward. In my view, there are parts of Asia and Africa where expert model of Europe and other countries doesn't apply. And I believe that there is a way to clarify this and develop expertise that fit Asia, Africa, and Japan. Specifically in the West, it is assumed that expertise in the narrow field school and university, while in Asia, private and religious and cultural value are emphasized. And I feel expertise include understanding children and dealing with their parents. I believe that this is knowledge that cannot obtain through Western research. And this table is summary equipment for teacher educators in 3 cultures. If you're interested, please join us at the Cambodia Society Comparative Education. Check out this site. Let me go back to the topic again. Okay. In summary, it is important for university faculty members to actively accept international students from abroad. Of course, accepting international students require various costs, such as the establishment of International Student Center and dormitory for international students and full-time faculty members. I would like to encourage all undergraduate and graduate students here to study abroad if you have a chance. If possible, please try to study abroad at the government expense. I also recommend that you participate in regular program at a foreign university rather than language program there are many countries, including Japan, that accept foreign students. It is a good idea to consult with your own university professor and ask them to introduce you to trust university professor. Last topic. Third, I would like to talk about the promotion of collaborative research using joint curricula. Currently, universities in Japan have to earn their own research fund. In past few years, there has been an increase in number of cases of crowdfunding for research expense in Japan. However, unlike in Europe and the United States, there is still no donation culture. So it is not going very well. Do you know which faculty is the most profitably in Japan right now? The answer is medical school. The medical school has its own hospital. They provide medical care and as well as education, which means they can make money on their own. However, the humanity and social science are not in business. Especially the education department don't have a financial resource. This is a story like this. This is a story about the local national university in Japan. The president of university, who was a medical professor, said the dean of school of education, President, your department labor costs are too high, cut back. Dean of education. However, Mr. President, the number of faculty members is necessary in order to maintain the quality of teacher training. President, then found some way to make money. The school of education has nothing to sell. No. Sell the educational package to China. That is the only thing you have to sell. In fact, they form a partnership with university in rural city in China and decide to sell a package in which students could study at a Japanese university for remaining 2 years of their 4 years. This is half a funny story, but I think there is a good hint for international collaborative research hidden in this story. What is it? What is the strength of the faculty of what is the strength of faculty of education? It is careful and high quality education that no other faculty has. And it is the link between education and research. We provided support for international students in Japan. It is a project called the Inter-University Exchange Project, conducted by JSPS. In particular, there are learning activity using COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning. Here is an example from our University of the Ryukyu. At the University of the Ryukyu, we have been entrusted with project by Ministry of Education Culture in Japan. And from 218. In this project, we will promote educational collaboration with partner university using COIL-type education. Is collaboration with the University of Hawaii and the University of Guam, among others, as a core. The global of this is to develop global leader who will contribute to sustainable development of Pacific region through exchanging program and online COIL-based education. For this project, we are only collaboration with a partner university, but COIL education is always in the process of looking for new partner university. If you are interested, please contact me. I'd like to introduce you to a contact person. The reason why I introduced this program is because I want to tell you the possibility of collaboration are not limited to research. Collaboration is not just for research. Teacher education, especially primary teacher training, require an understanding of each region and culture. For this reason, I believe that teacher training that can practice global education is required. In the future, teacher with such study abroad experience will be able to support education and research as excellent teachers with global perspective and as researchers. Okay. Okay. Now, I would like to conclude today's presentation. In international joint research, it is important to conduct mutually beneficiary joint research rather than one-sided proposing research theme. I think that the methodology of comparison is particularly important. For example, it would be possible to mutually obtain external funding and grant based on the comparative axis of Asia versus the West. The most important factor in collaborative research are reliable partner. From a long-term perspective, I think it is important to make more effective use of the international student network and to cultivating joint research partners. Finally, the idea of joint research that integrate research and education is also important. It is possible to launch joint research based on program and issues in teacher training in each country and conduct education and research together. In this case, not only exchange between researchers, but also the exchange between students will be the subject of the research. A reference it is that That's all I want to talk. Let's do exciting international collaborative to research together. Please come to Japan and to Okinawa. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Mr. Okahana. Thank you so much for interesting and insightful presentation about how to have international research grant and collaboration. I've seen there are 2 questions from participants, but we need to give it for a little bit longer since we have to invite Mr. Asokan from Central Institute of Educational Technology, India. How are you, Mr. Asokan? Mr. Asokan, are you with us? We are now waiting for Mr. Asokan to connect with us in this virtual room, and I still wait for your question in the third session later. So if you have any question from what Mr. Okahana said before in the presentation, please type on the chat box, or probably you just need to push the raise hand button. Mr. Barun, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, it's nice to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as a brief introduction,
very much.
Mr. Barun Ashokan, PhD, accomplished his doctoral in early childhood education in NCERT University, Mysore, Karnataka, India, and visited several countries such as Slovak Republic in 2019, Poland 2019, Russia 2018, Indonesia 2018, and Sweden 2016 for academic activities. Sir Varun had been assistant professor in Regional Institute of Education, Ajmer, National Council of Educational Research and Training, India, from July to May 2019, and in Slovakia Academic of Information Agency and Trnava University, Slovak Republic, from ages to 2020. And Mr. Varun published and presented more than 20 research. Now, Mr. Ashokan has been an academic consultant in National Council of Educational Research and Training, India, since November 2020. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to let Mr. Varun Ashokan, PhD, to deliver his speech. Mr. Ashokan, screen and sound are yours.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? I just like to want to test. Am I audible?
It's very good. Yes, we can hear your voice clearly.
Can anyone help me? Am I audible? Okay. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. I hope I am audible to everyone. I hope I am audible to everyone. Thank you for the opportunities for this conference which you have given to me. So here, today I'm just going to share some of my experiences which I have gathered over the period of time. As an individual, I have a lot of collaboration, but as an institutional, I haven't yet to collaborate with many universities, either be it in India or across the cross transnational, or it can be in a foreign country. Because so there are a lot of social science research collaboration happening these days, but the impact on social science collaboration has to be more outpouring, and it has to come, come to the limelight, how these transnational countries are collaborating and doing a lot of work in the field or the area which they are working on. For example, like there are strong link between like science, because all science research are undergoing just for the development of for the contribution towards the social science. Today I'm not going to take the whole how to I'll be concentrate morely on the collaboration part rather than the research article and publication, because I have a strong connection on the collaboration part. So I thought I can share a presentation about the collaboration part, and with the with my experience how it is started. So my collaboration started since I'm a PhD, since when I was a PhD scholar. So I used to during our PhD we used to read a lot of literature, so which lot of literature which eventually helped to reach out the particular person initially through emails, then later on if there is any conference, because now we are a conference which is more much of virtual, so the interaction is a very limitation in the virtual conference, whereas if the conference is on the face to face, there are there will be a very strong collaboration happens, because when you meet a person you get a different perspective towards the concept which we are working on, or the area of the study which we are working on. For example, I have a very strong collaboration within in the field of early childhood education within India and as well as Europe. How it initially happened? It happened like this way. It's like initially I have started writing to people about the possible opportunities to work with them. So later on I got those opportunity also. There are possible opportunity, like I used to write people, then I used to meet them, then I started working with them, because I basically I like to introduce just about myself, which I forgot to share, because I basically India is a huge country and I basically belongs to down south, and but whereas now I am working in the northern part of India, and even in the southern part, it is like I born in a small town called Rasipuram, and I had my PhD from University of Mysore, which is 400 kilometers away from my home. Uh, Whereas uh, so my collaboration started. I was looking around people who have been working on in the field of early childhood education. So I wrote to them. Then I personally met, like whenever I had an opportunity to meet, to participate in a workshop. So I was able to write them that I'm coming to. Yes, I like to share my slides. Can I share my screen, or? Uh, can I share my screen, or
Yes,
is
you can.
there? Okay. Okay. So yeah. So what I yeah. So I can able to share. I can able to share my ideas with the field experts, because back then there was a professor who was very active in early child. She's still very active in early childhood education. So I wrote her. I came. I had an interaction about my PhD title. So PhD title, and able to share how I can contribute for the project. So which eventually pushed me to up to move to a different place in different place, and furthermore which the place also helped me to further evolve much more. So this it gained me, like as an individual, it shaped me to be I cannot say I'm an expertise in the field, but as an individual, it helped me to shape and move and grow within the field. So today I have just I'm going to share certain concept with my experience. So I'm just to share today my title. I have thought I can write international collaboration in educational research. So I thought I should be more specific rather than to be more general. So here, along with this concept, I will also share my experience. So for me, what is internet? For me, what is a collaboration? So why we need a collaboration? So these days, research becoming interdisciplinary. So we want to study how certain things are functioning, just not within ourselves, but we also want to see how it is happening to others. How, for example, for example, if I want to see the good practices of early childhood education or teacher preparation program, I also like to read a lot and like to interact with the people and like to participate whatever the program which they are conducting. So, uh, so, so yes, research becoming interdisciplinary rather than just within the country or within the state itself. So what happens once yes, like once we know what others are doing, we want to reach out them. So what is the next step is more important is funding agencies, or funding agencies are moving towards funding more transnational research in every field. Yes, there are in India, there are a lot of funding agencies. For example, Indian Council for Social Science Research, which funds for the research scholars or for the faculty development program to participate in various workshops. And if they want to publish their PhD as a book or as a material, they can do. So in the year 2016, I got a fund grant from Indian Council for Social Science Research to share my PhD work in Stockholm University, Sweden. So yes, there are a lot of agencies are coming up to not just within. This is from India. Yes, again, I also like to share like how various countries fellowships which offers for example this Marie Curie fellowships, which is it is to be one of the leading fellowship, then Fulbright fellowships. So these are the fellowships which helps the even master degree students, PhD scholars, and postdoc fellows, and furthermore even for the faculty also, which helps it gives funds to share the knowledge or to create something new. Don't yes it when it comes it's new, it is not for just for the one country's sake, it is for the global shape. So why we need this, particularly in the social science, the why we need so data is more important because large volumes of data are being generated with which requires specialists from multiple disciplines to collaborate in analyzing the data and using the uh, data for the benefit of human mankind. So why we need big data? Because to has a certain impact, we have it is very simple. Just uh, uh, to see certain impact on the society, we need a huger data, and how people pursue certain things towards something. For example, in education research, we have seen the evolution of the various theories, how it has a huger impact. I can speak from India, how we pursue constructive theories or much more stronger implication in India, because we have initially started with a behaviorist, then initially started with the conditional theories, then we were speaking about behaviorist theories, then we are speaking about mm, constructive theories. So at the same time, I also like to for example, this is my concept, so I also like to see how the the world pursue what kind of educational theories which used from the educationists from Indonesia or from other Asian countries or from European countries or from American, North American, Southern American, and even African countries. So if I want to study how these educational theories are happening across the world, I need a huge data, and a lot of interaction needs to happen across the country. So this helps the person to get an idea of through this big data, the person will get an idea of how the world is evolving on certain concepts, particularly on these educational concepts. Collaborations are easier to develop and sustain than the way before. Yes, these days we have a lot of technology. See, for example, even in this pandemic situation, we are able to interact, and I am able to participate and share my experience with through virtual mode. Whereas in those days, it's not possible. If there is such a pandemic, or if there is such even epidemic, also there are a lot of restriction, and the communication was not earlier how it was. So these days we can able to communicate in a short time, and we can reach out to the uh, uh, though the face-to-face interaction is there, but yes, these days the communication, we have a lot of we can able to interact with the people in a short time, and much way easier before than ever. So next, what is a collaborative research? Collaborative research can be defined as the research conducted by more than one researcher or a research team, either within the institution, or with colleagues in other institution within the country or a foreign country towards a common goal. So collaborative research can be defined with the collaboration of even from one institution to the other institution, whereas my experience comes most of the time, I was I as an individual, I can able to collaborate. Sometime I represented the country, but whereas sometime I can able to share what I have gained from my experience rather than as a collective experience. Because sometimes it functions, sometimes, for example, whoever the scholars or whoever work independent, no one works independently, whereas what sometimes the scholars, or particularly if whoever if there is any PhD scholars are working, sometimes they may not able to get sufficient support, so they need to work more independent rather than as a collective team, or they have to work more rather as an individual than as a team. So so become when it becomes as an individual, because the limitation is very less when they work as an individual. If they work as a team, there are a lot of limitations, not a lot, but there are certain limitations. But again, there are a lot of supports, and the thinking will be different when we work in a team. So, and the ideas also we can generate more easily. So it can be more helping in nature. So here I like to share how this collaborative research helped me to get more grants, then get more grants. So it's back then when I was working in Delhi as a project fellow. Then I can able to interact with the university professors from a different country. For example, I was collaborated with Professor Brano Popula from Trnava University, Slovak Republic. So when I able to interact, and we found that we have most of the time we found similarities of thinking in academic perspective, and even sometimes though sometimes most of the time we have a common perspective towards early childhood education field. So this helped me in this sorry, I think mine says my internet connection is unstable. So I need to connect with my So for yeah. So which when we work on towards the common goals, there are a lot of mind comes and which intervenes and which supports us. Yeah, again, I was sharing with my collaboration with Brano. So I was thinking, okay, I need to go and see what's happening in his country and how people are working on the field of early childhood education. So what I thought, but to reach in a different country, particularly the developed countries, we need grants because I cannot afford from my pocket. So I was finding some various funding which helps me to reach out. So what happens when he was working in his country? So he found a person from out my country where he is from Slovak Republic. He found a person from India which he says he came through a grant. So that is the National Slovak Republic grant. So he was that professor from India. He was sharing that this grant will help even research scholars or the person who works independently also to visit Slovak Republic and do research. So then we were collaborating as a as institution. He was collaborating as an individual, and I wrote my proposal, and we were speaking how we can be more successful in the proposal. So how the methodology part in the proposal needs to be addressed, how the planning needs to be addressed. So we have started from review of literature till the methodology to conduct the research, and what are my tasks if I get this opportunity. So I wrote all my proposal and the plans and the statement of purpose to visit. So fortunately, in 29, initially in 2018, I think I lost my application. I couldn't get in my first attempt. Whereas in the second attempt, I got the grant from the National Slovak Republic. So where I can able to go there and collaborate as an individual from the whole universities. So I got a lot of support from there, which eventually gained a lot of knowledge for me, and able to share my experience here. So next, establishing collaborative relationship. So this is what I was sharing. It is more important, when we establish a collaborative relationship, because some collaborative relationship has limitations, whereas certain collaborative relationship, because when we connect to the, to the person or to the organization or to the agent, to the funding agencies, sometimes it is, it grows very stronger and for years and years. So so what strategies we has to have when we establish establishing the collaborative relation. A successful collaboration requires that all participating members work together towards a common goal that has been agreed all parties. Each member of a team is considered an important part of the team, and that they understand their role and the expectation from the activity. So the activities or the interaction are based on trust, respect, good communication, and the ability to compromise. So so when I got this grant, I spoke to my when I got the grant from the government of Slovak Republic, or the Slovak Academy of Information Agency. So I spoke to my institution head about that I got a successful, because before back then I was sharing with them also that I am going to apply, because when I was applying for the grants, my institution support was not much required, because it is more like an individual writing proposal and get through it. So when I asked like orally from my institution head whether can I go can I apply, does it affect my career? So they were all very positive in terms of supporting me from my institution, and they can even sometimes they gave a recommendation letter also to support my application. This is one part from here, whereas in the other side also I can able to get a invitation from the host universities and it is not just only from the, when we speak about the universities, because uh, there are committees which, or the board members which they sit and discuss to sit and discuss to support my applications. Then we have to speak how we need to collaborate. So the collaboration is not, at the same time, the collaboration is not just only one aspect. It requires a strong commitment, because I still remember my collaboration with Brano is in from 2015. Whereas, so whenever he visits India, I can able to visit him through academic, and we can able to share some ideas and the concepts. So I yeah, so this also, for example, now I'm I think it's my second time. Actually, we have during last conference we thought, if this pandemic gets over, like, we can visit, you can visit India, whereas I can also visit Indonesia. So that was our conversation. So we have a very strong collaboration for last more than a year. So eventually, maybe next year, if the things are situation or fine, if the conference is more like face to face, or if there is any workshop happens, so I can visit Indonesia, and our collaboration can be furthermore strengthened. And maybe after a year, it can be even we can come up with the new projects and new assignments for Asian countries, or even to be global as a global part of we can contribute for the global part. So here everyone has their own goals, and to be the person who to be the head of the institute, or from the down, whatever job they do, everyone is very important in uh, uh, collaborating, and which helps eventually a beautiful relationship. So establishing collaborative relationships, again, like any other agreement, there are basic details that needs to be considered and agreed upon prior to start of work to make the project beneficial for all parties involved in collaboration. uh, so we should also think, what are the common goals, as an from the educational perspective. We can I can just share some example. Maybe if someone wants to come and visit India, and then yes, there are a lot of agencies, I mean the government agencies, funding agencies are working. So when if someone wants to write a proposal, they can can be more specific what they want to do, to whom they are going to work with, and what kind of work which can be beneficial for the both countries, or more than two countries, if many countries involved in the work. So how these ideas and concepts are benefiting for each other, not just for the individual, rather than for the common perspective, for national and international perspective. So the next question comes to in our mind is, what is to exchange through the collaboration? So yes, so if someone wants to give the fund, they always they think what kind of benefits which they gain through the collaboration, or what can be shared for the global perspective. So these questions comes in our mind. So then how will work and any products be shared? Products will be shared. Yes. So when we work on the common goals, so particularly in the social science, we can we have a United National agencies, which comes with a data, and also they works on the intervenes, and when they intervene, we need certain products to intervene. So this also ideas which we should think when we collaborate with uh, any other institution or the universities within the country or across the country. How is the responsibilities, that is who does what, and credit, example publication and share. For example, we are having a conference now. If the industry wants us to publish the work of the conference, So probably, the credit should go whoever worked for this conference at the bottom level and took a lot of responsibility, spent a lot of time to make this happen. So this credit can be you know uh, not just only through publication, but yes, publication is more stronger, will have a stronger impact in the academic scenario, but not just only academic scenario. For any research, any collaborative research, publication has a stronger impact here. uh, what are the timelines for each goal? So when we work on the timeline, so from the writing a proposal, or even initial stage of interaction, from who is going to do what, and who is going to write proposal, and how in the proposal can be collaborated, how it can be disseminated in the disseminated, and how we make it happen. And again, once the research is successful, we will like to share, so that we conduct conference, workshops, then and publication happens. So for each and every time, for if it is going to for a year or more than a year, so we have to be very careful when we write this proposal. Here also like to share that when I wrote this grants, I also like to share. I have visited Russia, so that they have Russian Academy of Sciences fellowship is there, so which I can able to get in, which I can able to get through collaboration with Dr. Elena. So we also work for a years and years to when this collaboration to make it happen. What is the exact time when this everything matters when we establishing a collaborative relationship with particularly when it happens across the country. Then negotiating collaboration agreements. So because when we are collaborate with some work, we also able to speak if able to seek what kind of benefits which we get once the collaboration is successful. It not just only grants, but it is also understanding the culture, understanding the perspective of certain things. So all the time it should be written and able to express what they want from the from not just yes, when we are also explaining the common goals. So it also what kind of benefit this both individual or the collaborating partner which they are going to get. So this has to be negotiated before the collaboration or just in the process of collaboration itself. Negotiating agreements is essentially the art of compromise. So if someone wants something, so someone needs to, for example, I'm here and I am able to share my experiences. So you provide the platform here. Also some kind of negotiation. Okay, I'm going to give my time and I'm going to share my knowledge. This is sharing my knowledge is one of the benefits. And here also you have a different audience to different audience where I can able to maybe I can able to address your audience. So negotiating agreements is essentially the in addition to your research goals, there are other institutional and regulatory requirements that each participating team has to address. When negotiating agreements, it is best to address as many of the critical elements prior to start. Prior, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Prior to starting prior to starting the projects, postponing the issues on whichever there is a considerable disagreement to later date is unlikely to be resolved. So this comes majorly this comes at the high happens between the university levels or between not even university level. There may not be much disagreement because university functions for the common goals of students and research. Maybe this comes at, from the institutional level or from the national level. Okay, these are the limitation of, even for university also, these are the limitation of my universities. We have this much funding, which to share the which we can help for the research. So whereas the other country may have their own limitations about to study certain samples or whatever that are. So this negotiation and agreements has to be, if certain disagreement comes, it's rather than, just, disagreeing the part, we can also say certain things can be addressed later, or it can be addressed while in the process of collaborating, but not immediately, but maybe later. So when time also, time is something great, which, gives the solution over the period of time. So communication is one of the greatest skill I can see. So if for anything and everything in this world, to be more successful, to get our works done, it's not using someone, but it is utilizing the resources, not using the resources, but utilizing the resources. So this also one of the life skills, communication. If someone who is very good in communication, able to negotiate, able to share in certain way, they can able to get the things done, for the well-being. So communication is among us the team members a critical factor in successful collaboration. So and communication, here I also like to share, communication is not just, for example, I'm attending my collaboration with Sari is quite maybe more than a year. So every time, we find some good literature, we share to each other, and we frequently also we can email us what things are happening within the country, or across the country. So wherever the possible opportunities we are having and the time which we are having, can able to communicate, so that when the actual collaboration time comes, it is easy for us to understand each other, how what is the requirement of the from your universities, and what is requirement from my universities. So communication amongst the team member is a critical factor in a successful collaboration. Communicate often and early throughout the project. So, and the transparency in the communication also required. We should not just hide something and speak something else. So establishing a formal communication structure for reporting on the progress, discussing the problem or challenges, etc. A key component of our communication strategy should include notification of a team member if you encounter any problems or challenges in completing your part of the task as soon as possible. So for example, if you want to if for example, if you someone wants to visit all the universities, and if they need concern approval, the availability, unavailability of the team member also has to be considered while we communicate. So at the whole, what I am trying to say is, it's one of the greatest skill to for a successful and competent collaboration. And roles and responsibilities. So everyone, when we in the collaboration part, so we also should understand what is the roles and responsibilities as an individual, as well as a team member. So it is important to have a clear understanding and agreement on the roles and responsibilities of each member. This should include a clear understanding of the leadership. So for example, the leader of the project, or the leader of the work, needs to be explained and share the work equally to all the team. Sorry, equally to all the member of the team. There should be a clear understanding by all collaborators as to who is ultimately responsible for a leading project, and what are the powers vested on this individual or the individuals if they are co-leaders. So, and this for the team members, similarly, there should be a clearly defined roles and expectation for for each team member. The specific roles would be depend on the scope of the project as well as expertise of the individual. So yes, when we work in the team, it is also considered who is strong. Maybe some team member is very good in communication, some of them are very good in some of them are good in oral communication, some of them are good in written communication. So this has to be, I'm just it's an just an example. So this we have the team leader should find who is capable of what, and so that he has to give that work so that everyone gets an equivalent opportunity, equivalent opportunities to make the work happen. So discuss authorship plan. So it's again this is more important in any work, because when we work in the team, so the leader gets obviously the first credit, and but who has contributed and how much and where it has to happen. So everything is more important in a collaborative research or in a collaborative work. So we have to fairly discuss the issues related to the publication rising from the collaborative research in advance and document the agreement. These may include the right to publish, including thesis publication or the research publication or the conference publication. So this has to be, strongly emphasized and mentioned the roles and responsibilities of after roles and responsibilities. It has to also mention clearly mentioned in the negotiation who is get and what, who writes what, as again as I told, who makes the presentation of the results. Example in the conference. So so whatever research work will be published in conference. So who is, we have to see who is good and how they are. For example, some of them might be very good in field research, but when it comes to conference, because however we are good in our field research, conference plays a vital role, because in conference we can able to share the ideas of the field research which we have done. At the same time, we can able to mingle with a lot of diverse people. In, for example, if it is an international conference, we can able to share with the people from a different countries, not just in the presentation, but post presentation or the pre-presentation. So which eventually helps them to expand the networks, so that they can do the certain same research which we have done in a different country, which we can do in a different country. So for example, if there is any national research which happens in educational or in early childhood education in Indonesia, and which is successful, so if I visit, or if I can able to interact with the national resource portion, probably if I like that idea, then probably I like to take the idea and implement India how it is, or implement in a particular state of India and see how it's happening. So this happens only through through certain through various through interaction. So people who are maybe good in field research may not good in the negotiation, good in communication, not good in expand their networks. So this has to, so it also important, so who makes and what. So the order of the author. So when we, yes, it also whoever working as the principal investigator will the first credit, and the co-investigator will get the next credit. And we also should acknowledge everyone who has supported for the collaboration or for the research. Acknowledgement those who are not authors but have a contributed to research, etc. So intellectual property rights. So this is one of major impact, and these days when this all the data are available in the online, a lot of issues in the copyrights. So it also very important, intellectual property rights or a complex and a specific vary from one institution or a country to another. So it is extremely important for the collaboration to discuss the IP issues with the responsible individual at the institution before entering into or starting a collaborative research to make sure that rights are protected. So So if you want us, if you want me to share any on any intellectual property rights, particularly on Indian aspect, probably I like to share, not immediately, but maybe whenever I have some time. So, after intellectual, so the data management sharing, it is, one of the major, and ownership is one of the major thing in a collaboration. So discuss the research and agreement in advance on the details. How data is collected and managed to ensure the integrity. What is the ownership of the data? Who owns what data? When and how is data is shared among the team members? Data security plans, electronic data backup, software used to record or manage the data. So it's all very important before implementing or planning a research. So what kind of data we are going to gather between, if it is a two country, we are going to data gathering it. For example, if in case in future, if you are going to research between India and Indonesia in the field of early childhood education, so it is important to for both countries what we should share to India, what and what we should get it from India. And so yes, we also have a limitation. Certain time we don't want to share to any certain information to the other countries. And it is, or in the other ways, like certain data needs to be published from within the country, not through a collaborative research, but there should be in a common, so data. So this data we can have it together and publish together. So this has to be oriented when we start the research, before we start our research. So the ownership is, as I shared, the ownership is more important. And at the same time, when the data will be shared, the data is shared. For example, if you are conducting a collaborative research, or you might be collecting the data from one country, the other country might be collecting the data other country. So parallelly, the data will be shared, or so some country might be having data to share parallelly, but whereas some will restrictively will share the data at the end, not parallelly. So this all has to be communicated well in advance. And after that, also important, what kind of softwares, or how do we manage the data? Where do we share the data in a common folder or a common drive? And what kind of analysis technique, or statistical analysis technique which we are going to use to analyze the data? Because uh, uh, sometimes we use SPSS, or sometimes we use or so it is all what this software also matters well in advance, so like what kind of software which we are going to use to analyze the data. Conflicts of interest. So it is also we should also speak about the conflicts. What are the conflicts possibly we may face when during the collaboration? So the research team member should clearly disclose any potential conflicts of interest that may have or may be perceived as having or influence of integrity of the research and data generated. So the source of conflict, maybe it can be financial, or it can be financial, or it can be professional, or it can be personal, or it can be predation. Because uh, mostly it can be financial or professional, because sometime the university may have a grant, but they may not able to get professional support. So this has to be addressed. Maybe I may take some time, because my university may need some more time to address the proposal, or the university might be ready. There will be like, there will not be any personal issues. So probably sometime we face only the financial issues, because I also come across the universities which they are saying that they have a problem with funding. If they get funds, they can able to do a collaborative research together. So this has to be the main idea is it has to be addressed. Sometimes it may not be the issues, but it can be also shared possible issues or conflicts may arises in the course of research. For example, if there is a financial commitment for 1 year, sometimes we're not able to accomplish the task within the year. So we need to write to extend the financial support for further to complete the study. So this has to be addressed in the initial stage of a collaboration or a negotiation. Facilities, equipment, and supplies. So it is the infrastructure and the equipment and supply is more important because for example, if I want to go and study in a different country, I should also see what kind of supports, which infrastructural support or institutional support, or it can be the social support which I get it from the particular country. A collaborative agreement should clearly define the contribution of each member or a team in terms of supplies, equipments, and facilities. So, for example, when I visited Slovak Republic, my statement, purpose of interest, and my invitation letter strongly says that he will be getting a sufficient, infrastructural support when he visits India, which includes accommodation and it's particularly if someone travels to the country, accommodation and room facilities and all supporting facilities to stay well and do research well. So this has to be clearly mentioned. It depends on what kind of research we are doing. So each collaborator or a team should be realistic on the availability of facilities and equipments and consider other activities or planned projects using the same facilities or equipment. I still remember when I went to Slovak. Before I went, when I was speaking, I think in the year 2017, I was speaking. Then Professor Banner told this year we don't have an infrastructure. We cannot able to give an invitation for you. So this was it should be more clearly and shared towards to the to while collaborating or while writing the grants or supporting others. So it has to be clearly mentioned. So what they are having and what they don't have. Then conflict resolution. So whatever the possible conflict which we have raised on during the collaboration, this should has a resolution. It means resolution. It means we should resolve the conflict at the end of the day. Conflict can do arises during any collaborative projects due to different styles and the personalities of the individuals who involved, because some of them having a different ideology towards to different ideologies. So this has to be shared, and certain time we should hold it. We should not. We should also able to tolerate and tolerant towards the others' ideologies and ideas. Different sometimes yes, particularly in research, this happens. Sometimes people believed in the exploratory research. Sometimes people believed in grounded research. So it also it has to be addressed, because today we are able to share about a mixed approach, whereas we can do a research qualitatively and as well as quantitatively. So in particular in social science, so it has to be very we have to be very flexible, at the same time dynamic in the approach which we are using or the research which we are doing. The challenges encountered during the project and the cause inadequate causes. So this also, like, there is any challenges we are facing in the ground level of the research, this has to be brought to the leader and it has to be addressed immediately. Inadequate communication. So everyone should also in the team which feel they have been addressed, the issues have been addressed. So if someone is unable to communicate, it is the leader of the team to address to everyone, be able to express what they feel about the work or what they're doing about the work. Sometimes a pure misunderstanding. So sometimes because due to lack of communication, we can understand only that from one side they might be misunderstood, okay, because they're not able to share what they feel about it. So this has to be addressed. Again, to resolve the conflict, communication, transparency is more important in the collaboration. Uh, Institutional and regulatory standards. So understand the regulatory and institutional and funders mandate on both sides. So what if sometimes it comes in measure in the funding, because when our work is in a collaborative work, the work is not completed, then probably we are not getting the sufficient the work also on hold. So we should also understand, because we should also understand the funding is just for a year or for a 6 months, a short time. The work has to be completed within the time, because the funders may not able to support furthermore. So the issue is especially important in international collaborations where the country's specific regulatory mandate may differ significantly. Because yes, if for example, the academic year starts in India in the month of June, whereas in the countries from different countries, the academic starts from a different time, and yeah, various challenges we faces from the different tropical countries to the Western countries. So this also has to be addressed, and this has to be addressed. There are ideological issues, maybe there, national issues might be there. So when we negotiate or communicate, we should also able to express that these are the rules and regulations of our country and our institution. If we are going to collaborate, so we cannot go beyond that limitation. So at the it is also mutual for the collaborator to to speak, to understand. For example, when I was there in Slovak, so I was asking, is there any possibilities to extend, my research? But unfortunately, I couldn't make it, because that's how the regulatory says that once the funding is for a particular time, it is only for the particular time. It cannot be extended furthermore. So this has to be, vocal, and it also has to be understood by the researcher or researcher to understand the regulatory standards. So I like to final thought. The benefits of collaboration or the benefit the benefits of collaboration are undeniable, and collaboration collaboration is in the best spirit of science. So collaboration is, it will, it really brings everyone together. So, and it is undeniable, and collaboration is in the best spirit of science. So establishing collaboration can leave a scientist vulnerable to the actions or inactions, both actions or inactions of the collaboration. In choosing collaborators, trust and credibility and essential values. Choosing collaborators must be based not only on a scientific consideration, but also on the likelihood of the respectful, even amicable relationship, which the lines of communication can be kept open. So it is yeah, it is, everything we are, the collaboration, everything we are doing just to be together and to be, bring a better world and to live. So if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Asokan, for presenting the fruitful knowledge for us, just about how to establish the research collaborative relationship, collaborative agreement, communication strategy, data management, sharing and ownership, etc. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to the question and answer session. If you want to ask question directly, you can just push the raise hand button to participate. As you can see on the chat box, there are a couple of questions that have been answered by Mr. Okahana. There is a question from Dia Stefani Suherman. Let's see. Morning, Mr. Ichiro Okahana. As a researcher, what is your strategy for gain international grants? And here, Mr. Okahana said that the first is that the topic should be international important, but now I would like to invite Mr. Okahana to answer the question directly. Please, Mr. Okahana.
Yes, thank you for question. And so many questions. Give me thank you. How to get to the grant and funding? So not that it is my strategy, but it is important to have it is important to have someone else correct your application. And there is a study on how to get to Kakenhi in Japan. Recently, there has been an increase in number of consulting company in Japan that external funding. That company will collect our application and so collect it the application and paper. And I wrote in chat to website JSPS. If you want to get grant, collaborate research in Japan. If we want to check, if we want to get, please check here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Okahana, and thank you for the link as well. For the participant who wants to know more about TSPS, you can just click the link that has been shared by Mr. Okahana on the chat box. Okay, there is a question from Ms. Satika Uliana to Mr. Ichiro and Mr. Barun. I would ask a question: can you guys access or find out some information about international research grant opportunity in Japan and India? Probably in Japan, Mr. Kiichiro has answered it, but for Mr. Varun, if you like to give some more explanation about how to get or find out.
Yeah. It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting question. So there are national fellowships are there for South Asian regional fellowship is there, which helps researcher or the master degree student to come and study or work here. At the same time, it also it also depends. There are certain universities, for example, Tata Institute of Social Science, and not just only one universities, but there are a lot of universities, or maybe every universities in India has an international collaborative team. So whoever wants to to collaborate or to have it is grant is not compulsory, but you want to come and study and you want to visit and you want to stay here and studies in India. University grant, all the universities and the colleges are granted by University Grant UGC, University Grant Commission. So every university in India has University Grant Commission. So they have a scholarship or a fellowship for the teachers, the student, and researchers for all the level. So the one step which you have to see is what universities you are going to study and what college you like to go and visit. So you have to write to them, so and find the possible opportunities to collaborate. Maybe initially may not have like a year or two research funds, but if you are a young and early researcher, maybe you can start with a conference. If there is a conference, you can write that I like to visit India and have a conference to participate in the conference. So you can maybe able to get success through in the travel grants, and sometimes they waive the conference fees. So there are a lot of possible collaboration, or maybe again. You can search University Grant Commission, or you can even just Google whatever the resources which are available. But I would recommend, if we want to collaborate in India, then probably you can find the universities or the person which working on your field, and you write to them, to the particular country. Then probably they may able to expand or extend that support to you. So it also depends how the individual collaboration which we're working on. But yes, there are a lot of ways to collaborate. University has a grants and funds. I have seen universities every year returning back their grants to the UGC, University Grant Commission, back because they are unable to utilize the grants. So I think it is Atika, Ulaya, Akmal. So I think there are possible ways to collaborate. You can write to people, or you can just browse it. You will get a lot of supports from the universities in India.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sagan. And I can see on the chat of the participant list that there is someone who's raising hand. She is Dea Stefani Sulaiman. Please, Miss Dea.
Thank you, Mr. Dedi, as a moderator.
I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Thank you, Mr. Dedi, as a moderator. I want to ask to Mr. Farhan Asakan, glad to see you again in this seminar. I want to ask you about, I'm sorry. I want to ask you about the research in India. How is the progress, the research in India during the pandemic, and and what is the current topic in India? As a research, so if there are similarities topic, so we can do the MOU between UNP and India, so we can do the research grant. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Dea. So it's about the program for research in the pandemic station. So what about in India, Mr. Asoka? Yes, we can say that Mr. Asoka has been a connection problem. We just need to wait for. Hello, Mr. Asoka.
Sorry, it is sorry,
Yeah.
Got disconnected.
So there's a question from the Stefani Sherman.
Okay.
The question is about how is the research progress in the pandemic era in India, and what is the current topic that probably be progressive in India right now. So if there is a similar topic between UNP and India, probably we can join the research together.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. So in pandemic, we are, so social science research has been, I can say it's two levels, because it took overall shift from, to technology. Whatever the research we were doing on the ground level, it moved to technology. So people who are able to access that technology or able to participate, in the participate in research program, and they can do well. But to be honest, it is this pandemic everyone put down. Be it, I think there might be a lot of mental health issues people might be facing, or people who are were uh, coming out from their social circumstance might be fallen back to the social circumstance. So who people were able to afford might be only doing well. So based on literature which I studied, particularly from the non-government sector, because I couldn't see much governmental data as of now. But non-governmental data, which whatever I have seen, it says people's literacy level fallen down and numeracy level fallen down. Then particularly in the early childhood education sector and even the teaching sector also. So it is the data from non-governmental sectors. So it says uh, the literacy and numeracy has fallen down, and people who are able to access, get the knowledge from the grade 3, they are getting only in grade 6. So it means 3 years fallen back on learning numeracy and literacy. This is one aspect. The other positive aspect, what I can see, government of India has implemented national policy of education. So now the early childhood education is compulsory in India. So like back then in 2020, it was not compulsory, but now it is compulsory in India, or at least they should take 1 year program before they enter into the class 1. So early childhood education is compulsory now, and whereas government of India is specially addressing FLN, or its national foundational numeracy and literacy, which addresses only the numeracy and literacies for uh, kindergarten till class 2. So, and a lot of educational innovative technologies have been came into the line, like government of national policy of education 2020 India also says about uh, how to enhance the learning literacy and numeracy through technology, how technology can be substitute, or it can not substitute, but how it can be made effectively used in everywhere. So, and this also become part of education, and at the same time we are also concentrating on cyber safety and security issues, particularly at the school level, because so that children will not get the wrong information or something which they not appropriate to the age, so they cannot able to see. So cyber safety and security concern also, we have taken it from and we emphasized in our national education policy 2020. So I think whoever the academician or even students and the scholars who are attending this conference, I recommend whoever national policy of education 2020, which has a lot of information from kindergarten till higher education. So yes, my question may not be, I took a different path, but the honest answer is it's a difficult situation in India, particularly in the social science sector.
Thank you, Mr. Baron. And what about in Japan? What's the progress of research in Japan? That or is that normal, or do you think that has some modification? Bagaimana? Bagaimana? Yeah. What about in Japan? The research in the pandemic situation.
Oh, kindergarten situation, yes. So in Japan, uh, an important topic for kindergarten in the transition to school, and we have um, we have one revision in national curriculum 2018. So in kindergarten in this in kindergarten to learn about the curriculum and the evaluation to children's play and learning. So recently, research trend is evaluation of documentation and learning story and narrative assessment. It is very research trend. And another research topic is kindergarten teachers training and quality
Okay, Mr. Kana, thank you for.
okay.
Okay, I can see that there are two people raising hand in the list of participants. First from Ms. Tari Dewi. Please, Ms. Tari Dewi.
Hi, good morning to all of you, Palun, and also Kichiro Kahana. Nice to meet you again. Well, I have one question actually, but I need your suggestions in this case. If we do collaborative research more than 3 countries, I would like to know more. How is the way to get legal permission, research ethic, and also how is the way to do or to get intellectual property right if we do collaborative research in form of research and development. Of course, in every country is different. For instance, like in Indonesia, we must have legal permissions, authorities from Ministry of Education. I don't know in India and also in Okinawa. I do hope that you could give me more suggestion for that. So considering also some requirement of researcher that should be fulfilled if we want to propose a research proposal then. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dewi, for the question. So it's the question for Mr. Asokan and Mr. Okahana about doing the research collaboration from 3 different countries. What about the legal and research ethic? Some questions about that.
Thank you for question. Thank you for question. I think joint research in 3 countries is possible. And I hope we going to research. For example, I think some topics. One topic is transition to school and teachers child care, teachers cognition for play and teacher education, so on. That let's try. We hope. Yes, thank you.
What about you, Mr. Clark? Mr. Baru?
Yeah, I think, am I audible?
Yeah, but
I am unable to hear your voice. I think, I don't know if it's a problem or with my system.
it's okay now.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
That's pengurusan haki, etik penelitian dan surat izin penelitian percobaan.
Should I repeat the question for you, Mr. Asokan?
Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Ide, we said that about doing some collaboration, collaborative research with different countries, and what about the legal agreement research ethic from your perspective?
In India, say for example, I work for National Council for Educational Research and Training. So collaboration ethics part I'll come later because that is more has to be elaborated law. But whereas how it can be collaborated in India or in my observations, any country or universities which they want to collaborate in India, they have to initially contact to the international collaboration team or Department of International Collaboration in from NCIT, National Council for Educational Research and Training. So, or you can directly contact to the faculty where they will assist you to come through the channel called Department of International Collaboration. So probably like I just given a random example from your university, they want to collaborate from my organization. So we have write email to Department of International Collaboration. Then from that it will be moved to the director of the institution or the director of NCIT. Then it will come back to the particular faculty member, or if you are unable to identify any faculty member, then the director of NCIT only will be official member, and they will able to they will able to link or the connect with the particular person to you. If there is a mutual interest, then there will be a meeting and between the two teams. So if you have a mutual interest, or if we have a mutual interest, then we will go further. And again, ethics, we follow the what the country regulation says. And so if our regulation permits to collaborate with you for a certain period of time to study certain aspects, particularly in our educational aspects, so we can also study the challenge and also study the good practices. So it depends what kind of interest, but it also says we also follow certain norms about whatever we can able to share from our side. And whenever the country from transnational perspective or any other countries, they want to come and they want to come and study or come to research in India, they have to contact and collaborate. Regulatory bodies, we follow what the government says. So whenever we are going to have a MOU with any universities within India or across the India. So we follow the certain legal procedures to collaborate. I hope I addressed the question.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Sopan. So there is one more person raising hand. Please, Ms. Atika Mirafa.
Okay, thank you to moderator. Well, I want to ask to the both our keynote speakers. To begin a research, of course, when we get what is an idea in my research is from the problem that the students faces in the while studying. Okay, for example, if I teach like physics, why students think that physics is very difficult to learn. So from that problem, so I can get the idea. Okay, what is the method or what approaching that I have to use to teach in class. So if we make a collaboration researcher, it means that have a different language, have a different problems that we solve different uh, culture and education. So how do we make a collaborative researcher based on different background of the problems in studying with our students? So my question is, how can we get an idea to make a collaboration researcher? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Atika. I think the question for all the speakers, how to make a collaborative research when between two organizations or two universities have different culture, different educational system. And I want Mr. Asoka to answer the question first.
Thank you for the question again. I would this will be a very interesting study to study different cultural perspective. Uh, but how we can to collaborate. The strong point of collaboration is has to see the similarities in the policies, educational policies, or the curriculum framework from across the country or the country which we like to study or I want to study in India. I will initially go and see what are the policies says, what are the similarities which we are having to understand further more, understand the relationship on the educational perspective. Then I'll also look into the curriculum part as Mr. Okhana says about the curriculum perspective. Yes, it will be very strong for to look into the curriculum because the curriculum addresses diversity of the country. So, and to which aspect we can see, particularly in the curriculum, diversity comes in a different level. For example, when we speak in India, we speak about the linguistic diversity, we speak about the geographical diversity, we also speak about socio-economical diversity and disparities because India is such a huge or diverse country. Every state speaks different languages. So within the particularly on the language part, so within the country we are having language one as a regional or mother tongue will be the language one. Then we are having English as a second language or Hindi as a second language, and language three we should acquire any other state language or language to be part of our curriculum. So for example, I want to study something in Indonesia and Japan, how they are, what are the policies which they are having a medium of instruction in the school. So it can be one major point how they are using it, or I can also study how the socio-economical status has been addressed in the different countries. So these are the components. I may be as a person might be individual, but as an education part, we can study how technology has been widely used in Japan and how they are addressing the school success rates and or in Indonesia, how they are addressing their educational issues. So we also look into the strength and the challenges and how the different countries they're addressing, or how we can combine together and combine together and address the challenges particularly on the culture part. So in India, I can say it is a big challenge again, because every state has different culture, because it's because of its diversity and diversity. So uh, we hold it together by various aspects. So for example, in India, the whole country, the curriculum framework is by the federal government or the central government. It also has the liberty to, teach in for the particular states. For example, we have 36 states in India. So, for example, if someone wants to study, for example, in Tamil Nadu, Tamil Nadu is the down south, whereas the northern part is top is Jammu and Kashmir, whereas the northeast is Manipur, Impal, the west part of it is Gujarat. So every state has its own state council for educational research training, where they take the components from the national curriculum framework and share. They get the flexibilities uh, to make the textbooks and the curriculum. So it addresses through the flexibilities within the national body. I hope I addressed the answer. I think.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asoka. And what is your perspective, Mr. Kahana, about the question how to get a collaborative research if we have some differences by culture or languages or educational system?
Okay, thank you for question. India and Indonesia and Japan have different culture. Also, they have something in common. I think it is necessary to consider the characteristic of each. I think the cultural difference will be reflected in the culture child care action. One idea is this, this idea is to look at common practice together and discuss them. For example, I take a video of Japanese kindergarten and discuss what we feel when you watch the video. Then we analyze the narrative data. This is based on Joseph Tobin's visual ethnography. Tobin is analyzed preschool in three cultures, China, Japan, and the United States. So if we take a video in Indonesia and Indo, so very interesting difference and characteristic point. It is one idea, I think. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the speaker to answer the question from Ms. Asika Akmal. And I think we have now in the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you so much to our now speakers, Mr. Kahana and Mr. Asoka, who have shared interesting insights in speech and some discussion as well. And thank you to our audiences who have been paying full attention and participating in this session. I would like to apologize for any inconvenience mistake, and we sincerely wish you a happy and healthy condition. This pandemic situation might have separated us physically, but the ideas and knowledge of ours will always be separate without boundaries. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much to Bapak Deddy Supendra MA for moderating our discussion today, and also for both our speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Kichiro Okahana and also Falun Asoka PhD. That's a very interesting presentation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all our programs for today. And I'm, as your master of ceremony, asking for apology for all inconvenience that you feel. And for this session, that's all. Thank you so much for your participation. All the committee, say goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Okahana and Mr. Baru.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you. See you next time. Bye.
I hope to see again in Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Is it possible during these situations? I mean, is there any special requirement that we should fulfill if we wanna travel abroad, especially to Okinawa or even to India? Yeah.
Yes.
Should we prepare some legal letters from authority? Is it still possible to travel to your country?
Oh, not yet.
In these situations? What about Kichiro Okahana? Lockdown in Japan?
Now is COVID-19, so we can't go abroad yet.
Okay, I see. Hope the situation is getting better and better.
Yeah.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu.